Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
With that, Nick Wright, first things first, is joining us live. All right, there's usually a gaping hole that I missed, so I'm gonna offer you an opportunity. What did I really swing and miss on?
I mean, I hate to christen your gorgeous brand new studio and welcome you back from what was, I don't know, 6-7 week vacation with this, but I think in all our time knowing each other, this is a bottom 2 or 3 herd hierarchy. I just have to, listen, the Eagles at top is fine. I still need to talk to you either on or offline about how the Chargers left tackle getting hurt made the Broncos so much better. I still don't totally understand that, but fine. Yeah. You also said, everybody agrees Bo Nix is a hit and good and, not everybody. My hand's up on not agreeing. I wonder what the commentaries after Mac Jones' first year, 10 wins, fake Pro Bowl going into year 2 was, and we compare that to where Bo Nix is. But you also said John Schneider is the best GM in football. I mean, forget my guy Brett Veach. Howie Roseman might have something to say about that. But more importantly than any of that, because obviously you and your merry brand of, friends in the media that are just convinced the Chiefs' 15 wins and 3rd straight Super Bowl appearance was sign of doom. That's fine. I'll set that aside. Where are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Colin?
11.
How did the Tampa Bay 11? You always say 11. Whenever I bring up the team, you always say 11. I feel like the Bucs are a little disrespected. The Seahawks and Broncos are a little overly respected. And I might argue I'm surprised you didn't find room for the Chargers or the Bears. And so those would be my bigger gripes. Like the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Eagles, all are the 4 best teams in football. We can argue about the order. One of those teams is not like the other with Denver and their 0-7 record against good AFC teams last year, but we'll see how that works out.
So I said on the Micah trade that it was remarkable to me the pushback Dallas got, because I watched Micah and CeeDee Lamb and Dak get housed by the Packers in a playoff game and trail like 27-0. I've seen it, and that was with a better coaching staff than this staff. So sure. Green Bay needs a play wrecker, and that's what he is. The cake's built, he's the icing. Dallas needs players and flexibility. Were you surprised, or maybe you agree with it, the outrage and the negativity on Dallas getting 2 first-rounders, having 4 total in the next 2 drafts? Oh, by the way, next year could be a exceedingly promising quarterback draft.
Sure.
I got it for Dallas. Did you?
So this is one that I think you nailed more than most, and I agree. Listen, I would not want to be in the business of trading Micah Parsons. I think the Cowboys and I think you might agree with this, made a bunch of mistakes that led them to this place. I would have signed Micah a year ago if I was looking at it and said, hey, we cannot have CD at the top of market, Dak at top of market, and Micah at top of market. We're going to have to move off one of those 3. Micah would have been the last one that I moved off of. So there are things I would have done differently. But once they got to where they were, my defense of Dallas is this. If the breaking news last week, Colin, was not that Micah's traded, it was that the Cowboys signed Micah to the exact contract Green Bay did, everyone would be killing the Cowboys. They put themselves in a spot where no matter what, they were going to be criticized. Because if you cannot pay Micah 47, Dak 60, CD 35, and say, we're just going to be better than we've been the last few years when you haven't been good enough. So once they got to the place they were in, I understood the trade. Their hope, obviously, is that it is their version of the Chiefs trading away Tyreek Hill, where you recognize he's a great player, but recognize you have other holes you need to fill. I don't like that they got to the place, but once they got there, two first-round picks, and in my opinion, a good player in Kenny Clark. It's not an overwhelming return, but it's fine. They just obviously have to hit on those picks. So I agree with you that once they got to this place, trading him was understandable. I don't like the process that led them to getting to this place.
You know, so I'm watching Belichick, and we looked it up this morning. If you take Cleveland, New England, and that game last night, without Brady, Belichick has averaged 19 points in his career. And I've said this, Andy Reid got to 5 NFC championships pre-Mahomes. Andy Reid got to the playoffs with Alex Smith. Andy Reid wins everywhere. I cannot be the only person that watches that game last night and think, it's hard. This is not aging well. This does not look good when Tom goes to Tampa in a little bit of a pirate ship off course and wins the trophy. I do think this dings his legacy. I don't think the last several years helps at all.
From Omaha Productions, NFL Films, and Vice TV, NFL Classics, after further review, relives the NFL's biggest games with the legends who played them and the fans who never forget. Not just the rewatch, but the untold stories behind the plays that made history. Each week, host and our friend Kyle Brandt, joined by Hall of Famers like Emmitt Smith, Kurt Warner, Brian Urlacher, Michael Irvin, plus celebrity fans from Sebastian Maniscalco to Method Man. All kicks off September 3rd, 9 p.m. with the Cowboys-Packers NFC Championship as Irvin and Smith revisit the win that fueled a dynasty. The greatest games in NFL history, Wednesdays at 9, only on Vice TV.
Well, I agree with the last part. It certainly doesn't help. There's no argument that it helps. Now, how much does it hurt? I'm not ready to go there yet. What I will say, let me defend Bill and then give you my thoughts on last night. We all of us that were there for the first 3 Super Bowls recognize those were defense-led teams with an incredibly clutch but not yet great quarterback. The final Super Bowl in 2018, Colin, they shut down Todd Gurley, Sean McVay, and a good Jared Goff to the tune of 3 points in the Super Bowl. Like, his ability for 20 years in New England to put great defenses around Tom should not be overshadowed in how that team won as much as they did. So that part, no one can ever take away from him. But the fact that we now, over the last half decade in New England, his talent evaluation was questionable. His coaching staff decisions were outright bad. His inability to ever get the quarterback position right outside of Brady, which is a big but, because Brady is the greatest player in the history of the sport, that matters. And we've talked about this. The melding of his personal and professional life and the really odd decisions to keep that front and center, up to and including last week with the reported trademark of gold digger and other things. The only way that's going to be okay is if you continue being excellent. And not only were they not excellent, they were awful last night. And it also, to me, there was a lot of excuse making for I'm not writing the kid off, but a poor Arch Manning performance, because we were like, man, Matt Patricia's defense, like, there's just nothing a college kid could ever have done. Well, Josh Hoover looked pretty fine last night against Bill Belichick's defense. So I don't think it was all that. I think it's also the personnel and the experience. But yeah, that is, Colin, I looked this morning. They're now projected to win 5.5 games. Like, they have 3 non-con games coming up, and then a game against Stanford and NC State late. But they're going to be underdogs the majority of the rest of the way, and that team doesn't look anywhere close to competing for anything significant.
Yeah, the Arch Manning thing, which you alluded to, I said, I was driving in this morning, and I was thinking about, I never want to be too harsh, but there's a difference between jitters and nerves and, like, not throwing more than maybe one ball all afternoon where you're like, oh, that was pitch and catch. It was off kilter. He felt pressure that didn't exist. He missed multiple layups. Sometimes he faded into pressure. Like it looked about as bad as it could be, and he's been with Sark 3 years, and you can criticize Sark.
Well, that's
but he
the
was
thing.
Sark can coach offense and quarterbacks.
No,
we know that.
Listen, it's not everything, but it's not nothing, and it is. You then start looking with a finer tooth comb at him versus the other guys who were, early in their college career being talked about as future #1 picks. I understand his rookie year didn't go great. So these guys, by the way, haven't yet to be proven to be great pros. But Caleb Williams, the first time he ever played college football as a true freshman, gets dropped into the Red River Shootout, down 2 scores, and cooks. And it's just unbelievable. Trevor Lawrence, as a true freshman, goes undefeated and beats Alabama in the national championship game, goes 38-2. And again, you can say, well, what does that matter? Because those guys haven't been the pros, Caleb early and Trevor through 4 years that we would have hoped. The point is, those guys had this type of hype about #1 overall pick and immediately backed it up. My concern for Arch going into the game was multi-layered. One is, it's not nothing that Texas last year decided Quinn Ewers was the better option. Now, Quinn's a great college player, 7th-round pick. They're going for national championship. I understand that, but that's not nothing. Expecting Arch to cook against the national champion on the road in his first ever road game, that was curious. And then also the fact that he didn't go to a football factory. He went to a small school in New Orleans and had a nice but not overwhelming high school career. And then 3 years in, we haven't seen him play in a big spot yet. There were just a lot of reasons for me to believe this is going to be tough on him. Now, I didn't think they'd only score 7 points, but I did like Ohio State significantly in the game. And I'm not writing off Arch Manning on anything except for this. I do think we can write him off on this year's Heisman Trophy, not only because he now has a hugely high-profile bad game, but also because when you watched that, does it feel like he's about to rip off 10 straight awesome games? I don't.
No.
I know their next 3, San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, he should be great. Then it's at Florida in the Swamp, and then it's the Red River Shootout. I think that, his grandfather was like, Arch is going to stay for 2 years. And Arch was like, I don't know about that. I think that's more on the board now than it was going into the game. And that's not an indictment, but it did feel like he was anointed without having accomplished in a way we hadn't seen recently in college football.
Totally agree. It's good to be back. I do enjoy working. I take some respites, but I do enjoy working.
Listen, Colin, you are for 30 years the hardest working man in the industry. And now you're the hardest working man in the industry September through May. And you know what? That's fine. There's no problem with that, bro. You have earned it. I respect it and I love it. It's good to see you again.
Nick Wright. My friend Nick Wright, first things first, which is added an hour. So that is great.